Welcome back, students. So in the previous lecture you have studied about the partnership, its types, then types of partners, partnership deed, and now today I'll explain you registration of partnership. So if we talk about registration of partnership form of business, then we all know that it's not compulsory according to Partnership Act 1932. Okay, it's not at all compulsory to get the partnership firm registered, but if the firm remains unregistered, then it remains deprived of some special rights. It don't get some special rights. Therefore, it's beneficial to get a firm registered. Okay. So under Partnership Act 1932, special rules are made. Under this Act 1932, special rules are made for registration of firm, and every state government has appointed a registrar for this purpose. Registrar for what? For making these rules and regulations. Okay, for making and seeing whether they are following the rules and regulations or not. Then if we talk about procedure of registration, how is it done? So for getting a firm registered, as you can see here, the various following details. So for getting a firm registered, an application has to be filled in a prescribed pro forma with fee stamp. Okay, and where it has to be submitted? In the registrar office. What has to be done? First thing, an application with the prescribed fee stamp has to be submitted in the office of registrar of firms. And what it contains? It contains these following details which are given here: name of the firm, main place of the business, other places of business, and name of other places where it carries on the business. Okay, name and addresses of the partner, date of admission when somebody has joined the company. Okay, term and duration of partnership, all these things. So all these details are needed to be attached with the application form and the fee stamp. Then so application, it bears the signature of all the partners and authorized attorney, and if there comes any change in above information, it must be given to the registrar of the firms. Okay, whatever information is registered with the office of the registrar, it is treated as the final information. And after submitting all these details, after submitting the application and giving all these details, getting it signed by the partners, what has to be done? The firm should deposit the required fees with the registrar of the firms. So the registrar, after approval, will make an entry in the register of firms and will subsequently issue a certificate of registration. So once the application will be submitted, the details will be given, the signatures will be done, the fees will be paid. After that, the registrar will make an entry in the register of firms and will subsequently issue a certificate of registration, as you can see here. Okay, so this is certificate of registration for partnership firm. Then effects of non-registration. As I told, it's not compulsory. Okay, it's not compulsory for a firm to get registered, but if it remains unregistered, it don't get some rights. So what are the effects of non-registration? So some of the effects which are of the non-registration are: if a firm is not registered, it fails to get the following benefits. First is, it cannot sue third party. It cannot case against third party. Then the next is, no partner can sue other partner. Okay, the partners, those who are working there in the company, they cannot case against anyone. They cannot case a file against anyone. Then next is, no partner can sue firm. They cannot take any action against the firm. And then the last one is, the other parties can sue firm for their rights. The outsiders, they can file a case against them. So what are the three non-effects? What are the three effects of this? Basic three effects are: firm cannot sue third party, they cannot file a case against the third party or the outsider. Okay, the partners of the same firm cannot file a case against each other. And the last one, partners can sue firm. Okay, no partner can sue firm. Then comes the next form of business organization, that is cooperative societies. So you have studied till now, you have studied the three forms of business organization: sole proprietorship, partnership, and joint Hindu family. So this is the fourth one, cooperative organization or society. So cooperative, the word consists of two words, co plus operative. Okay, so co means together, operative means to operate. Okay, that's very easy. Easy to understand. Co means together and operative means to operate or to work. So when people come together to work together, that is only cooperative. So this is the form of organization in which people of common interest, they come together to work to enhance their monetary benefits. Okay, so you can say the cooperative society or the organization, it is an association of the persons who join together for the mutual help, and it works with the principle of each for one and all for each. As you can see here, the self-help group. Then features of cooperative organizations. First feature is voluntary or association, you can say. So it is basically voluntary of individuals, those who come together to improve their economic status through joint efforts, and no one is forced to become a member or to continue as a member. So persons having common interest, those who are having the common interest, they are working for the common interest, they can come together and start this cooperative organization. Okay, then legal status or legal existence. So just like a joint stock company, a cooperative society has got its separate legal entity. It has separate identity. With the change in the status of its member, the structure will not get changed. The structure of the organization will not get changed. Then comes limited liability. So the liability of the members of this society, it is restricted to the extent of shares. Okay, so the society will have to write the word limited after its name. Okay, if they are starting any business, they have to write limited after their name, and the liability is limited. Then control. Who is having the control here? Since so many people, they are coming together for joining the business, they are coming together for the common interest, so it's not possible to give the control and decision making power in each and every hand. Okay, so what they are doing, they are assigning some board of directors, they are selecting some board of directors, and then they only have the common meeting, and then they only take the decisions, and they have the control. Okay, then service motive. This cooperative society, the formation is based on service motive rather than profit motive. They are working basically for the society, for rendering them the services, not for earning profit basically. Okay, so its object is to serve the members and not to maximize the profits. Then formation of cooperative society. How is it formed? As I told, how is it formed? It can be formed when two or more members come together to join for a common interest. So as you can see here, 10 members who are bound together by a common bond. So minimum at least it should have 10 members to start the cooperative society. Okay, so these members, they are called promoters. The members, those who come together for a common interest, they are called promoters, and they represent a joint application to registrar of cooperative societies. Same thing as in partnership, they have to give the registration application to registrar of firm. Here also they have to register under Cooperative Societies Act. And these are the details which it should contain: proposed name, aim and objective, area of operation, liability, bylaws of the society, everything. Okay, so the procedure of getting registered is same as partnership. Okay, only few details are different, otherwise each and everything is same. And once they will fill the application form, give all the details, get it signed by all the members and give it to the registrar, they will issue them the certificate of registration.